Welcome to episode 18 of the Lightning Run. I'm your host, Lightning.
I'm your co-host, Rashi.
To start off this week, let's talk about some upcoming interviews. We have our interview with Cyril the Wolf this week. That'll be coming up in just a little bit. And next week, we have our interview with Great Din and Corey W. Williams, and they'll be coming to talk about their new project, which is called News Ponies. Auditions for that just recently ended, so we'll see what they have to say about their new project and what to expect for a release date for that as well. So that'll be kind of cool, and we'll talk to them about that next week. So with that, we'll head into our interview for this week, which is with Cyril the Wolf. All right, first up for this week, we have our interview with Cyril the Wolf.
Hello.
So, why don't you first start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you became a brony?
Well, I am a 6 foot tall. Oh wait, no, you don't want that many details, do you? I'm just a guy who likes to make music, and I'm currently making music in a 2-bedroom apartment in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So, that pretty down to earth grassroots, just graduated college sort of thing. I became a brony about almost a year and a half ago now. Holy cow! No, not quite. A year and 3 months. Back in last June-ish, when my friends basically roped me into watching the show. I mean, I had a little sister, so I kind of saw, I think, Feeling Pinky Keen, the end of it, a couple other episodes. I mean, I recognized the animation style was decent, and I think I commented to myself inwardly, oh, hey, kid shows aren't as bad nowadays. I mean, I'd seen Phineas and Ferb a couple of times before that, and I really liked that show, so, it was, I guess, a step in the right direction. But no, it was still ponies, though, and I was like, whatever, I don't have time. Music. I've been a workaholic my entire life, so, but finally my friends, at the time were just like, look, guys, look, you have to sit down and watch an episode. And I was like, fine. So we watched Bridal Gossip, and, after laughing my face off, I decided, hey, let's watch the first 2 episodes. Oh, I can't watch anymore. I have to get ready to leave, do homework and get ready to leave to go see my, then girlfriend, now fiance. And, while she was at work, when I was down there, I ended up watching all of the episodes, just then. And it was fun. It was good. I loved it. And that's how I became a brony. And then I, made a parody of System of a Down's BYOP, and that pretty much, BYOB rather, called BYOP, so Bring Your Own Pony, and that's still the deal.
Alright, so, favorite pony and favorite episode?
My favorite, this is such an easy, it's one thing leads to another, because it's, my favorite pony is, and probably will always be, my favorite pony is Princess Luna. But I want to preface that with, I've been becoming really infatuated with this pony called Lightning Bolt. And Lightning Bolt is the pony that always is in the very beginning of the intro, the My Little Pony intro theme, with the part. That's Lightning Bolt. So that's an interesting. I don't know why. Somebody said, yeah, Lightning Bolt doesn't get any attention, and I was like, well, I don't know who that is, so I'll go look it up. And of course, being brony Wikipedia, I saw that, and she's adorable. So we'll see how that pans out in my brain, since it's growing like a benign tumor. My favorite episode is Lunar Eclipse.
So now, where did the name Cyril the Wolf come from?
A very lame story. I was writing a story for a class in 7th grade, and I been a narcissist a little bit my entire life. So of course the story was about me, just like, a story version of me, Mary Sue and all that, because I was in 7th grade and that's what 7th graders do. And it was just simple. I was like, I need a name though. And I was sick of using Icarus. I used Icarus for a long time, but Icarus was kind of lame. In that it was already like a Greek mythology kind of thing, and it, you would say Icarus and people automatically associate you with a whole bunch of things, and I was just like, I don't really know. So I looked on behindthenames.org and I found Cyril, which meant Lord, and I was like, well, that's perfect for the main person. And for a while there, I tried to have like both as characters, and like I had a headmate, and it was kind of weird, 7th grader. Oh, I'm kind of cute stuff, and it wasn't really that cute, but that's the way it was. And that's where I got Cyril. And for a while there, I just went as Cyril on VGmusic.com, which was like one of the first forums I joined. I was just Cyril. That was it. There was no, extra things. And then I went to OC Remix, tried to do stuff on there, and was kind of a community member. Did some things. Met a guy named Shnabubala, who was clinically insane, actually quite literally. I didn't know that at the time, but that kind of got some weirdness, and I ended up having to be off the internet for 6 months due to my parents being concerned for my safety. And this was when I was about 16. And then it turns out that my account got hacked by somebody who had a reputation for hacking, and so I was just like, well, I don't really feel like, because I'm kind of was more shy then, I don't really feel like rocking the boat, so I'll just make a new account. And I was going to go with, like, Cyril Ukami, but somebody kept commenting on how that sounded kind of girly, so I was like, well, I like wolves, Cyril the Wolf, done. And I went about that for a while, and that's kind of how it happened. So yeah, I've been using that name for like 6 years now.
All right, so how did you become a musician?
I heard the band Rush. Well, not entirely, but I heard the band Rush is the simple answer. If you want the extended answer, I can give it.
Yeah, sure. Tell us the whole story.
Okay. Let me get a drink of water. Crack my knuckles. Okay. The whole story is I started playing saxophone, alto saxophone in, 5th grade. The kind of thing where it's like, my parents are like, you should play an instrument. My father, I played alto saxophone at one point. Apparently he played a bunch of instruments, but at one point he played alto saxophone in high school. And he was like, you should try it. And I was like, okay. So I went through that. And I guess I was good at it because I kind of skipped a couple of, I just dove right into it, and I skipped a couple of steps that most people apparently went through as far as their musical training went, just because I guess I grasped it pretty easily. But, I was like, I didn't like practicing, and I was, still a 12-year-old gamer kid, or a 10-year-old gamer kid at the time. And so I was just, not a big deal to me. And then I started listening to video game music, just because I realized, hey, wait, there's music in video games. Can I get the staff music for that? It'd be cool to look at, wouldn't it? And so I downloaded some programs on AOL. This was like when AOL had Antagonist. It was just this weird, teens site and they shared files, and they had MIDI files. I was like, ooh, what are MIDI files? And I was a Final Fantasy fan at the time, ever since Final Fantasy VII and the rocking boss battle music. So I was like, oh my gosh, a preview for Final Fantasy IX's battle music in MIDI? Oh, let me hear it. And so I downloaded it and looked at the notes, and it was really cool to me. So I started downloading a whole bunch of them and downloaded Final Fantasy IV's battle music, and I showed it to my father. I showed him the bass line after soloing it. He's like, that reminds me of a Rush song. And so I listened to that Rush song, and I was hooked. I was like, oh my lord. Dad, I want to play bass. And so a year later-ish, or that next Christmas, I got a bass, and I didn't touch it for 6 months. Then I started playing bass more. I started composing stuff on the computer, MIDIs, and it just kind of was a downhill spiral of ignoring homework and playing instrument all the time. So that's how I think I became a musician. Yeah.
So now, you mentioned that you played long before you actually became a brony. When you became a brony, did your music change at all? Did you decide to do something different than you'd done before?
Well, it got happier. To a certain extent. Not exactly, but a little bit. When I first became a brony, what happened was I got a lot more inspired, and I just kind of got into this creative mode that I really hadn't hit before, because I used to do just video game music and I was in a cover band, so I wasn't really in any super creative modes, and I liked writing, I knew that, but it wasn't, I didn't know what to do with that. And all my lyrics were kind of cheesy, but then something about, ponies, and I ended up writing Millennium Alone, which is really dark. But you'll notice if you go through my catalog how my music, other than some of my covers and a couple of songs, was specifically like that. It got a little bit more lighter and upbeat as time went on. And I just started experimenting with different styles just because, hell, they're pastel equines. You can't be too dark with them. Unless you're, I don't know. Well, you can, obviously, still.
All right, so is there any particular places you get inspiration for your songs from?
I would say yes, but then I realize that that's a bunch of crap. I do, once in a while I'll watch an episode and I'll just be like, oh man, I could write a song about that. Like, when I wrote All Confidential, that was for a Toast Beer. That was an episode response. And I was like, I need to write something slinky and funky, and it happened. And it was pretty straightforward. I did that song in less than 12 hours, which is rare. But, other times, I wrote a song called Seeds of Kindness for, Bronies for Good's charity album, Seeds of Kindness. And I wrote that on a plane. I didn't really have any specific inspiration other than writing Seeds of Kindness. So mostly from episodes and what I see around me, and and deep emotional unrest. Millennium Marone was born out of just a weird set of dreams I had that just made me feel so desperately alone that I needed to get it out, and that was, I'm glad I did, because it was quite the emotional unrest. And of course now I have that song, so kind of works that way too.
So is there any particular genre that you favor among all others?
Metal and hard rock. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's my favorite genres. I mean, I do other ones, but it's definitely got to be metal and rock.
All right. So, do you enjoy coming up with your own original pieces or covering songs from the show more?
Original all the way, and I've always been like that too. Even back when I was hanging around VGmusic.com, everybody sequenced or covered video game songs with MIDI, and I would always make my own because I'm like, I don't want to learn anything. And even when I was in a cover band, I never really properly learned the songs. I basically just came up and I was like, what song did I need to learn? Oh, I didn't listen to it. Or I listened to it once, and then I'd be like, show me the chords, would you? And then I wouldn't even bother learning the bass parts. I'd just kind of do my own thing. So I've always been kind of doing my own thing rather than doing covers. But there are some songs, like Nightmare Night and Luna by Eurobe Brony, that just I needed to cover because they affected me either emotionally or I just thought they were freaking cool. So, there's always that, but most of the time, my own stuff.
So now, I know that you were at Midwestria, and you just got back from Cantaloupe Gardens. Were there any other conventions that you made it to this year?
BronyCon.
Okay, you were at BronyCon, all right.
Yeah, I went to BronyCon, which was a blast. And I mean, I always have been going to video game conventions before that. I've been going to MagFest pretty consistently for years, and I went to Otakon shortly after I became a Brony, and that Otakon was pretty fun. But I haven't gone to Otakon since; it's a little too big for me.
So, at BronyCon, Midwestria, and Cantaloupe Gardens, can you tell us a little bit about what you did there while you were there, and what you thought about the conventions as a whole?
Well, you want me to go through each convention individually?
Well, yeah, just,
All right. Well, okay, so let's see here. Let's start with BronyCon. Reach far back because that was a few months ago now. BronyCon was, I just went there. I didn't even go there really as a guest. I did manage to snag a panel spot and therefore got free admission. But I still paid my hotel, roomed with Dusty Cat. I just went there. I was going to perform one song. One of my own songs. I performed a few songs with Tarby, but only one of my own songs. And so, I didn't really do much. It was kind of incredible though, because this was the first time that people actually recognized who I was at any point and wanted my signature. And it was kind of weird. I'd never experienced that before. All the cons I went to, I just went as a fan. Like nobody really knew or cared who Cyril the Wolf was. So, I had some friends, but I'm just talking about people I don't know. So that was an interesting experience. Rooming with Dusty Cat was risking eternal explosion because the manliness within that room, me, Denotive, and Zako was just too much. I am surprised that there was not a black hole of manliness forming in Secaucus. But, I didn't go to too many panels. There was a lot of lines at BronyCon. But overall, I got to spend a lot of time with some friends I never thought I'd meet. Especially Tombstone, since he was from Israel. There was a lot of cool things that happened there. I got to just play around and have some fun. And it was really cool. So I don't really have any complaints about BronyCon at all. And I really think that it was magical. It was my first Brony convention, but I hope they improve on some of the areas that like the sound system and stuff like that they were kind of lacking on, and also hopefully tone down the lines. Midwestria was amazing in its own right because first of all, they invited me out and actually flew me out on their dime, which is, I don't even know what that's just incredible. I kind of asked because I'm not very affluent and I don't have a lot of money myself, so it was kind of cool to see that happen. But at the same time, I realized I'm going to a pony convention, but it was cool. My performance time slot was kind of messed up, but it was their first con and there was a lot of last minute things that were going on because it it was kind of just one of those things where I think people wanted to do something, didn't realize necessarily how much went into it, et cetera, et cetera. Not that it was a bad con, obviously, because I had a blast. I got to talk to M.A. Larson. I talked Amy Keating-Rogers' ears off. Talking to Eurobeat Brony was amazing because he is an amazing human being. Not just a good musician, but he's an amazing human being. I got to perform with Taps in front of a few people, and my own performance was kind of beefed anyway, so I'm glad nobody really saw it except for like 2 people. And it wasn't recorded, so I kind of feel happy about that in some ways. But there's that. And I mean, just in general, it was a fun con. It was really relaxed. I mean, compared to BronyCon, which, you know, when you start getting more and more people, you get like this tension that happens because there's just so many people and so much to do. But Midwestria had a lot to do, but there was only like 400 people tops there, or 500 people maybe, and at the peak, and it's just like, you know, you'd see people repeating over and over again, and that hotel was so nice. Oh man, they poured Guinnesses like the right way, which for me is awesome. So yeah, and and getting bought a beer by M.A. Larson was kind of cool too. So yeah, that was good. I mean, I made a lot of cool friends down there, honestly. So hopefully that'll keep taking off. Hopefully there'll be another one. And then Kennerlock Gardens was probably the most controversial con. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but obviously there's a whole bunch of stuff surrounding it just because, well, first of all, they brought Andrew WK and a couple other people who weren't necessarily pony related, to their thing, which was different. But on the other hand, I think it illustrated in a way how cool bronies can be, because through all of the weirdness that went on and how like tightly cramped, it was a sardine fest, but everybody was really nice. I didn't have any problems at all, and it was the most rad crowd ever. And I don't know, I just had a really good time at Kennerlock Gardens. I haven't fully processed it yet because I mean it was just this past weekend, but for now it was amazing. I got to see a lot of different people, play a lot of different things, and that was also the second. Midwestria was the first one I had sold a CD at, and I sold a fair few. I probably didn't promote my CD enough at Kennerlock Gardens to sell a lot, but, you know, that's the way that goes. And, you know, it's not necessarily about the money. It's just I like to try to bolster my money intake when I can. So, you know, that sort of thing. Do I have anything else? Do I have any cool con stories from either of those? I mean, the coolest con story from BronyCon, there's actually 2. The first one is, this is BronyCon con story. The first one is I was playing and the microphone dropped in the middle of my song and I kept going through it, and that was just, the crowd loved it, but it was like really like, I'm playing a really complicated bass part and singing. This is difficult. And then Midwestria had, among other things, I mean, I got to ride home with M.A. Larson, but Midwestria is a con story. Like everything that happened to me at Midwestria was just kind of cool because it was so small and intimate. There was no real like big like, oh man, rah. Candlelight Gardens. The cool con story from that is just, I don't know, probably finally getting done with everything. And actually it's the fact that I learned most of the songs and sets that I ended up playing for that weren't mine like 2 days beforehand, and they went amazingly. So there you go. That's it. Long-winded story time.
All right. So are you planning on attending any other conventions this year or next year?
I don't think there'll be a time when I don't attend conventions unless I'm like really, really poor and out of money. But thankfully, because of the niceness of this community and the fact that apparently musicians are like well looked upon, I can usually be like, hey, I'll come as a guest and maybe you can exchange it, maybe you can help me out, getting there, or I can release a fundraiser album and get to conventions. I mean, I'm looking into a con that's in DC, which is only 3 hours away from me, so that's not that big a deal. And it's only a 2-day con, so it's, just a short little weekend thing. I can leave Friday night even kind of thing. And then, that's actually it for pony cons this year. I'm planning on going, and that's this year, cause that's March. That's next year, I guess. I mean, what does this year entail? So I guess I'm not planning on going any more this year, unless one of them gets a hold of me soon. But I don't have, the money to go to like EQLA as much as I'd like to, or other places, cause I'd like to see M.A. Larson again, cause honestly, he is just such a cool guy.
Yeah,
Like,
awesome.
I think he's the coolest guy. Although Amy Keating Rogers is a very nice lady too. I mean, she was completely okay with me drunkenly yakking her ear off and telling her my life story in Westria. So there's that. But yeah, I mean so no more this year. Plenty next year. I mean, some in March. There's one in March. Maybe Midwestry again. Maybe another Candlelit Gardens. Definitely BronyCon. I've basically been told I can't not go to Everfree Northwest, so I guess I'm going. So yeah, I'll hit up as many as I can afford. And if for some reason I start making money by going to these things, then that's cool too.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your involvement with Philly Game?
Well, Philly Games, oh, that's right. Actually, BronyCon is where I met Writer's Block, and he likes rock and metal. I don't think he'd ever heard any of my stuff. But I met Writer's Block, and I think Reishi, were you there,
Yep.
Reishi? Okay, yeah, so I met you, I met you both. And I honestly, my whole career goal in life is to be a composer for video games. That's just what I've always wanted to do. It's influenced me my entire musical career, so that's always what I wanted to do. And I was like, oh man, I'd love that. And I think I mentioned that I was going to do stuff for Pony Cart, but they had like 12 musicians, so they just booted a whole bunch because Makan was doing everything, and Makan is a scarily perfect human being. There's that. But then I was just like, yeah, I could do stuff. I mean, I'm a Luna fan too, so I think that helped. But then it was just like, keep in touch, and we did. And it was like, yeah, do Rainbow Dash's theme, and a couple of other things. And I did some themes, and y'all liked it. So that's kind of how it happened. It kind of just fell into place. There wasn't really any huge negotiation or anything. It was just like, so you make cool music, well, make something, and I did.
It actually was pretty interesting bumping into you. I actually bumped into you twice before I actually talked to you.
Oh.
One time was in between our panel and a panel you were on, I believe. And the second time was you had to go to the bathroom, and then I saw you again when you came out.
That's Wait, was the bathroom one during the concert? Or was that...
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And that's when I saw you. I saw Writer's Block, I think, in the game room itself. And then, yeah, right before the songwriting panel is when that happened. That's right. Ah, good times. BronyCon was funny. That was a funny con. It was just like meeting people left and right. And, all of the musicians are chill with each other. That's so cool. I love the general feel of bronies. And, so I hope it continues for a long while, and any issues that seem to be popping up lately that I've noticed kind of just go away. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about them, obviously, but they do exist. You'd be naive to say that they don't, but I really hope that they calm the heck down before too long. I don't, and I'd like to see this brony thing continue for a while. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I guess in some ways I think it's too much of a good, it's too good a thing to last very long, but then maybe I'm just jaded.
Well, speaking of drawing other people's company, do you enjoy collabing with other musicians? Are there any new collaborations or any of the musicians you want to collaborate with?
I try, whenever I do premeditated collaborations, they end up getting lost in what I'd call development hell, to a certain extent. Something happens, there's some miscommunication or something ends up happening to where it doesn't end up being it ends up being one of the my song or that person's song and not really a collaboration. I enjoy collaborating because it's fun and you get all sorts of different ideas from different musicians. And I mean, I've got a collab that I need to do with That Son of a Mitch at some point soon. I mean, sooner than later. I'd really like to collaborate with him because we had an idea going, but then it evolved into something different. I've got a collaboration with Wooden Toaster going. But, I mean, it's just been in development hell. I mean, that's been a year in the making. I've got a collaboration with Derpidity that's got to go somewhere, maybe. And a couple other people want my guitars, which I don't really count because to me a collaboration is where you go from the ground up and you do stuff. I mean, I've done vocals for a lot of people. I've done guitars for a bunch of people. But to me, that's not the same as actually, collaborating and making something by putting in each of your inputs and stuff like that. So I'm open to collaborate with anybody, but or any pony. M.A. Larson hates that. I tend to agree with him. But anyway, I collaborate with anybody. It's just, it's time. and then I'll forget sometimes. I sometimes forget that I'm collaborating with people, and it's really lame and dumb. So yeah.
So, are there any songs that you have that you consider your favorite?
That I have that I consider my favorite?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Millennium Alone is definitely my favorite. I really think it's the best song that I have ever written. I mean, it's not the most technical, not the most complicated, but there's an emotion there that is just not really present it's just not as prevalent in a lot of my other songs, because a lot of the other songs I write are kind of abstract or story songs, and you feel emotion, but it's not like Millennium Alone, where, I mean, I still sing. I like almost burst into tears on stage every time I sing it. So it's pretty personal that way. But I have a lot of other songs that I'm proud of, actually. But that's definitely my favorite.
Okay, are there any upcoming songs you would like to talk about?
Well, I've got a lot, actually. I mean, I've got a couple of commissions actually that I need to do. But one that I got an email the other day. Actually, like. I set my phone down on my table. I walked into my apartment, set my phone on the table, and heard an email go off. That email was from a military brony overseas. He'd rather not have me mention where, but he went overseas, and he wanted to thank me because his music keeps him sane. My music, rather, keeps him sane when he's working on his planes and doesn't have internet access because he's in some Yahoo land, serving the United States, or it doesn't matter. I mean, he's just serving his country, and that really was touching to me. It's kind of like Gardens. I met a lot of military bronies that dug my stuff, and I just did a scratch guitar track for it today, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the lyrics myself because I tend to over cheese things, but I'm going to be writing a song for military bronies because. Say what you want about war or military or whatever, that you got to have a certain amount of respect for the people who choose, because it's all enlistment, it's not draft, who choose to go and sign up for something that could very well endanger their life, and are often endangering their lives every day, not on home soil, against people who would wish, their country or, even peace harm. And that earns a lot of respect from me. And the fact that people like that I respect, are using my music to get through their day, it's kind of mind blowing. And it's the deepest respect, I can help. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's one thing. I've got a cover of a guy's song, Nimble Note. He did a song called Sonic Rain Boom. I want to cover, I Am No Hero by Mando Pony because I love Mando Pony. He's a cool guy and he does some good music, but honestly, I really think that that could be a bit more metal in treatment, and I think I'm the kind of guy to do that. And I've got billions of songs in the works that'll eventually come out, but those are the ones I'd like to highlight for now.
So why don't you tell us about your new album that just came out?
Oh yes, my album, Howling to the Moon. It's not like when I wanted to first release an album. Like 6 months ago, I wanted to release a concept album, like actually something where I made all tracks that were just for that album, and stuff like that. But I've been sitting on all this material that I've been releasing as singles, and some of it was rushed, some of it wasn't, some of it was really good, some of it needed some more polish to be really good. And when I was about to go to Midwestria, I realized, it'd be really cool if since I'm going as an actual guest this time, maybe I should bring an album to sell. Why not? Try to, make some money off the music that I do. And so I compiled together Howling to the Moon. And the name just came from, I'm Cyril the Wolf, and I'm kind of obsessed with Luna. So there we go. That was easy enough. And it had Millennium Alone on it, which really is my Howling to the Moon song, since it goes pretty high in my register, which I guess one could consider howling. It's got 9 tracks on it. And each of those 9 tracks are available for free on my YouTube or SoundCloud, but they've all been remastered. The remastered versions aren't free, but they're all been remastered. Some cases re-recorded, vocals, guitars, whatever. The digital version has 2 bonus songs as a thank you for downloading the the album, but they're not really that polished. One is one that got rejected from Balloon Party, and one is just a demo of something I might do because I still really dig where I was going with it, even though I haven't figured out exactly how I want to handle it yet. So that's that album. It's cyrillyric.bandcamp.com, and it's the first thing. I do have the physicals available, and you will get the download as well. So you'll get both the physical and the download, so you don't have to worry about ripping it, and you'll get the 2 bonus tracks along with that. So that's kind of cool. And for the next 25 CDs that I sell or so, I will be signing them if you care about that. And I can put whatever message you want on them if it's for somebody else. And those are $10. The album itself is $7 or more, $10 or more, whatever. If you want to pay me more, cool. If you don't want to pay me and just want to have the free tracks, cool too. I don't really care as long as my music's getting listened to. Since I finally put together an album, I felt, hey, why not actually sell it? The art is by calligraphyvictoria.tumblr.com. She did an amazing job. And it was commissioned, but she did an amazing job on pretty short notice, really, because I kind of do things like that. And the typography is by morbidlycurious.tumblr.com, also known as Fantasy Attic. And they're 2 friends of mine, and they did a really good job, so I wanted to highlight that as well. And so if you want me to, I can go over the track list, but Millennium Alone's on there, End of the World is on there, and Say Apple Bloom. And Say Apple Bloom, I think, is one of my best songs that's not super emotional that I've written, so there you go.
All right, and any shout-outs and last-minute comments?
Oh, gosh. Any shout-outs or last-minute comments? Who do I not want to shout out from this community? I gotta give out a shout-out to, first of all, Philly Games, because, well, I wouldn't be doing this interview if it weren't for Philly Games, because I wouldn't have met Lightning the Second, and I wouldn't have met Reishi Dash, and blah, 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 blah. I think you get the point. Philly Games, doing a really good job. That game is, Welcome to Ponyville, is actually quite entertaining, and I can't wait to play Act 2 after I do music for it. And I'd like to shout out to, all of the musicians of the community, especially Forest Rain, Fenning, hell, even Yelling at Cats, because they're all really chill people when you get right down to it. Nothing else matters, I don't know. I just have to shout out everybody. And this is one of the few times I'll do this because you specifically asked me to shout out, but I'm going to shout out my fiance for putting up with my bullcrap. And she doesn't really care about fame or whatever, but I just, feel like sometimes telling the world that I'm going to be getting married to somebody who's not a brony, but is one of the most tolerant people on the planet. So, so there you go. Last minute comments. Well, thank you too for bringing me to this interview. And thanks to all the bronies, for supporting me. And one thing I just want to say, just because I want to say it, and I want to make sure everybody listens to this, and this is really important to me, and I don't like bringing up drama because this is really important to me, is I just think everybody needs to chill out, in the fandom and otherwise, because I see people on Tumblr and other places getting worked up about things that are just kind of really not worth getting worked up over, or they white knight people, and I know this is probably not the platform, but just calm down. Just calm down, listen to some music, enjoy yourselves, and don't feel like you need to draw attention to things if you don't like them, because when you do that, you usually end up causing the reverse effect. So, but good luck. Follow my vlogs, cyrilmusic.tumblr.com, which is right now actually cyriltoospooky.tumblr.com, but that's only for the month of October, and chillthefout.tumblr.com, because, yeah, that's important to me. My YouTube is Cyril Rufus. And, gosh, I guess that's it for now.
All right, well, thank you so much for the interview.
You're welcome. It was an honor being on.
And that was our interview with Cyril. Next thing on the list, let's talk a little bit about what happened at Cantaloupe Gardens this past weekend. I'm not going to go into a lot of the drama that went on there, because there was definitely a lot of that, the whole Purple Tinker incident. But that's kind of, Cyril even said it in the interview, just said, don't worry about it too much, let's just enjoy the show and enjoy the music that comes with it and not focus on it too much. So what happened at Cantaloupe Gardens? Well, they had a couple of really interesting panels there. Andrew WK made his first appearance at a Brony convention. I thought it was kind of funny when I first heard about Andrew WK becoming a Brony. remembered that he actually did the song for the Cupcakes animation that's out there, which is funny when you think about it, because he describes himself as a Pinkie Pie type person, and the Cupcakes is about Pinkie Pie. But that was long. That animation was made long before he even announced that he liked the show. So that was kind of a odd coincidence right there. But he talked about how he found the show and talked a little bit about being a rock star as well. So that was a really good panel. I also saw two different VA panels. They actually had for the very first time a group of fan VAs, or voice actors from the fandom that do various works. I think most of those people were from Silly Philly Studios, actually. And they also had the voice actors from the Skullgirls video game as well. And so they talked about voice acting and what it's like to be in the fandom and aspiring to be, a professional voice actor. And then shortly after that, they also had the MLP voice actors, the VAs from the show. That, of course, was really funny. It was, I think, the most voice actors they've ever had. I can't remember her last name, but it was Britt. Britt was the voice actor for Princess Kate, and this was her first Rona convention. And so they asked her a little bit about what it was like being her first experience, and I think she said that she really was in awe about the whole thing, like most of the voice actors were when they first heard about this whole thing. And of course, there's always a new catchphrase that comes out of these VA panels, and for this one, it happened to be, it was Andrew Francis that kept on saying, "That's right," in his shining armor voice, which was kind of funny. So the voice actor panels are always really fun to watch. They also had the production staff from My Little Pony do a panel there as well. That's always really good to hear from the higher ups. Kind of know what's going on with the show. And now that we've got a release month, it's not a release date. It's a release month for the show for season 3 now. I look forward to hearing more from them in the future. I know they got one at New York Comic Con. That's going to be a good panel to watch as well. We also had quite a few games from the fandom that had panels there as well. Legends of Equestria showed off their new game. That's coming along very nicely. They showed a little bit of the game mechanics. One thing that I saw that was really cool was that first of all, you get to choose your race, so you can be Pegasi, Unicorn, or Earth Pony, and you actually get to, if you are a Pegasus, you actually get to fly around the map. I thought that was one of the coolest things that I saw on that panel. And they said for a Unicorn you can do magic, and they said they'll have some features for Earth Ponies as well. I think it's going to be really cool. But it looks like it's going to be a while before that game comes out, because they showed what they have done for Camelot, and Camelot is pretty much bare bones right now. It's not really all the way done. So I'm not sure how long they've got on that game, but that's looking like it's going to be pretty cool. I like MMORPGs, so I'm hoping that game delivers. The other one that was there that was really big was the Fighting is Magic panel, and they actually had a tournament for their game at the convention as well. That game has come along very nicely, and I'm not a huge fighting game fan, but just because it's My Little Pony, I'm probably going to give that one a try. After all, that is one of the biggest, one of the biggest, most anticipated games that this fandom has to offer right now. There was also a auction that went on. There's usually one at every single convention, and I am not 100% sure how much they made. I know it was quite a bit of money. But those are always really interesting because they have, I think both Lee Tokar and Peter New were there at that one. They always liven things up a bit. Other than that, there was a blind reading of Ghostbusters. I didn't actually catch that one, but that's kind of interesting. I should go and watch that, but that also happened. And The other link that I have in the show notes is for the concert that Amanda Pony and Michelle Krieber did. Those two are always really great. When they performed at Everfree Northwest, it was absolutely amazing, and there was it was the same way here at Camelot Gardens. Both of those guys are extremely good, and I can't wait to hear more from them later on. And the links for all of those videos are in the show notes. And so with that, we'll head into the news for the week. First thing on the list is Everfree Radio has recently done an interview with Brenda Critchlow, if I'm saying that correctly. She is the voice actor for Zecora, and we actually haven't heard much from her before, so it's really cool to finally have an interview with her and see what she has to say. So definitely check that out. The link for that is in the show notes.
And next up, we have the printing project for Past Sins released an update. They have done a test print and have finalized the dust cover for the actual book. It's a little bit simplistic, but is amazing nonetheless. I really want that book now. Unfortunately, the sign-up period for getting the book has ended, but there is a wait list for any signers who drop out at the last minute. And I don't think there's going to be too many that will drop out. But if you still want to try and get your hands on one, you can go ahead and sign up for the wait list, and you can check out a link to that in the show notes.
So next up, we have some news from the guys that are in charge of the Shards of Equestria card game. For those of you that don't know, Shards of Equestria was the My Little Pony equivalent of Magic the Gathering. They actually use the same background and some of the same mechanics of Magic the Gathering, and they actually recently got a cease and desist order. It was Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro came together and looked at the card. They looked at Shards of Equestria and they said, yeah, unfortunately, we really like the fact that you guys do this for the show and like the show enough to make stuff like this, but this does violate some copyright stuff. So they did need to shut down Shards of Equestria. So that is officially closed now, and it's kind of a bummer for those of you that were excited about it, but then again, that's the thing that you got to worry about when you're in a fandom like this. The copyright procedures are really important, so just keep an eye out for that. The link, they actually have a big long letter from their lawyer, and you can check that out with the link in the show notes.
And next up, we have the Pony Collection Contest. They actually had 198 people who sent in pictures of their collections. The winners will actually be chosen shortly for the Fluttershy card promotions. And, of course, the majority of what was sent was Generation 4. But it looks like there was some older ones in there, hidden in there somewhere. So you can actually check out the huge post with every single one of those pictures at the link in the show notes.
Next thing on the list is a little bit of information from Equestria LA. They have announced that M.A. Larson is going to make an appearance there. Being that I talked to him at Camelot Gardens, he is definitely a cool person to talk to. If you're going to be going to Equestria LA, definitely stop by and say hi to him. He's one of those guys that you can that's easily approachable. You can come up and talk to him, and even if you don't know him very well, he'll sit and chat with you for a little while. So that's really cool. They also announced that on October 2nd they're going to be opening their one-day registration to the public. Unfortunately, by the time this airs, that'll be over. But they did say that you can also you'll be able to purchase tickets for November 3rd or 4th. As well, and you can go to their website to purchase those tickets, and the link for all this information is in the show notes.
And next up, we have, of course, convention news. First up, we have Brony Fest was announced. This will be a 3-day convention taking place in Dallas, Texas that is currently planned for March of 2013. It's of course going to feature all the vendor artist booths, panels, etc., etc., and is actually organized by members of the DFW area Brony fan club called Rowdy Rough Brony. And next we have another Galacon press release that actually has the dates for 2013. Galacon will actually be returning for its second convention in Stuttgart on August 3rd and August 4th. And they're actually redesigning their homepage, or preparing their new homepage, and are open for any suggestions. And the page is actually going to launch mid-October. Next up, we have a update from Silly PhillyCon. They wanted to thank everyone who showed up to the convention and made it a success. And are asking anyone who attended the convention to leave any feedbacks that they had, and even send in pictures or videos to be showcased on their website to their email address. And they will be revealing their plans for next year soon. And lastly, we have BronyCon's OC contest has finally come to a close. BronyCon's mascots will actually be Hoofbeats, Main Event, and Blank Canvas. It actually came down to about a 30-vote margin, it looks like. And you can check out pictures of those as well as the information for all of these updates from these conventions in the show notes.
Last thing we got to talk about is some more Twitter people from the show that have decided to come on. Charlotte Fullerton has recently come on to Twitter. She's obviously one of the writers from the show. She wrote episodes like Look Before You Sleep and Suited for Success. Along with her, Steph Mahoney, who is an animator and layout artist for the show, has come on. And so both of these guys are on Twitter, so make sure you go and follow those guys and spam them with as many tweets as possible. The link for that and their Twitter pages can be found in the show notes. So with that, we'll head into the PMTV segment for the week. We'll start off with the videos. First up is one from Mr. Pony Eater. If you're familiar with his work, you'll know that he does little kind of parody clips from each of the episodes of the season. And last year he went all the way up to Mystery on the Friendship Express, and then when the Royal Wedding came out, he didn't get to do one. And so recently he brought out his parody for that episode called Chaotic Wedding. And so a lot of his videos are really good, and this one is also really good, so definitely check that out. The next one is a new project coming out of a team called Project Interlude. And it kind of took me by surprise. I didn't really know much about it, but this one's called Dusk's Dawn. They have a trailer for it that just came out, and recently they also announced that the full episode it's supposed to be like a 20-minute long episode, like a full actual episode length video, and it's going to be released next week on the 13th. So that's looking like it's going to be extremely good. This one is done entirely with OCs, so I'm really interested to see where this goes. And if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be a series. Like, they're not going to do one episode and have it be the entire thing. I think they're going to do several episodes of this. So definitely looking forward to see what's going on with that, and hoping to see the actual episode on the 13th when it comes out. Next one on the list is a new video from Christian's Cartoons. This is the same person behind the My Little Portal series that has come out. If you have been following Claire Corlett, the voice of Sweetie Belle, on her YouTube page, she tends to do Let's Plays of Minecraft. And a lot of them are really, really funny. And what Christian's Cartoons did is he took one of those Let's Plays and animated it so it looks like Sweetie Belle is playing Minecraft. And so it's a lot of fun to watch, and of course the dialogue is hilarious because Claire Collette's really funny. So definitely check that out. The next two videos are videos that premiered at Kenilworth Gardens over the weekend. The first one was from Silly Philly Studios. During my interview with them last week, they had mentioned a series that they were going to start that they were going to premiere a trailer for at Cadillac Gardens. That project is called Snowdrop, and they did reveal a trailer for that. And it didn't really say much about what it was going to be about, but the animation for it is amazing, just like most of the stuff that Silly for the Studios does. And I'm really looking forward to see more of that. The other one that premiered at Cadillac Gardens was from Shercott Poems, the creators of Friendship is Witchcraft. They brought out a complete parody of the At the Gala song. This one is called The Convention, and most of the people that I've talked to have said it's a really, really good representation of con-goers as a whole. And so, it's really funny. It's Friendship is Witchcraft, so, you know what to expect from what they do. So that one's also really good. The link for all of those videos can be found in the show notes.
And that brings us to our music section. First up, we have a song by Kenneth called Ponies of War. And while it's a little bit different, it was actually made based on a theme, which is ponies and trench warfare. There was actually one or two other songs I actually saw that did the same theme behind the song. And this one's actually, it's a pretty good song, and it's more or less just different, so definitely check it out. Next up, we have My Little Pony, the musical Anthropology Lyra song by Awkward Marina. It is, as you might be able to guess, based on the fan fiction by Jason the Human called Anthropology, and it actually does come off as a kind of musical-esque song. Next up, we have Wings of the Pegasi by Matthew Mosier featuring Aviators. This was actually a submission to an album called the Friendship Fund album. It's actually a charity album with a bunch of stuff. I'm not sure exactly what it exactly goes to, but it is definitely a good song and definitely worth checking out. And lastly, we have Nightmare in the Light by Blue Nose Reindeer with lyrics by Pyromitsu. And as you can probably guess, it's about Luna finally breaking free of Nightmare Moon. And you can find a link to all of these in the show notes.
Next up for this week is the casting call. I'm going to take over for this week because of what the casting call is for this week. If you have been following my channel, you know that in addition to the lightning round, I also put out voiced fanfic readings. Coming up in, I think we'll have it up by November, we're going to be starting the fanfic called On a Cross and Arrow. If you've read that fanfic, you know how many characters there are in it. There's probably about, I'd say close to 29 parts that need to be voiced for that fanfic. I need help. So, I put out a casting call. It's been up on EQD, and I'm going to talk about it right now. I do have all the voices for the main six, the female main six, and the narrator. Being that I've done fanfics with them in the past, I'm going to let them keep their roles if they wanted them, and they all said that they'd be fine keeping their roles. So the female main six and the narrator have been cast. That still leaves all the male main six, plus some background characters. I need all three Cutie Mark Crusaders, both male and female. I need background characters like there's a male version of Derpy. I need Mr. and Mrs. Cake. I need Harpsy and Babar, which are male versions of Lyra and Bon Bon. The link for the auditions is in the show notes. I've got a list of all the characters, and then if you're interested in any of those characters, I also have a link in that post to the audition lines that you can use for the audition, and just send me those either via Skype or via email as an MP3 or a WAV. And the deadline for that is going to be October 27th. So you have just about a month to get those in. And then hopefully we'll have fun recording on Across an Arrow. That's so I'm really excited about that. So if you're interested in that, definitely give that a look at. So that'll bring us to the fanfic section for this week. This one kind of came out of nowhere. I happened to look at it in the when it was featured on FinFiction earlier, and this one actually I read it, and it definitely looks like something that has a lot of promise. This one's called The Perks of Being a Wonderbolt by Dennis the Menace, and it actually follows the point of view of Soren. So he's the one telling the story, and it talks about his relationship with Spitfire and kind of how he views it. And it's funny because Soren, is not one of those characters that's been really fleshed out yet. So you kind of get a look at his perspective and how he thinks of things. And so this one looks like it's going to be really funny. Looks like it's going to be really cool, and I'm going to be checking it out. So the link for that is in the show notes. Last thing for this week is we got the flashback segment for the month, starting with the video and the music.
Give me just a second here. Alright, first up we have a video that was originally posted April 25th, 2012 by Pyrobug0. It is a fan-made My Little Pony Friendship is Magic movie-style trailer using audio and clips from the show itself. It seems like it's straight out of one of the previews you'd see at the movie theater. And it is actually pretty amazing and definitely worth checking out. And our music this time around is actually Jack Lapp and Mike the Microphone's One Trick Pony. This one was actually originally posted December 7th, 2011, and it was actually a song that they wanted it to be about not only breaking out from any creative ruts, but also to appreciate what one's good at and to enjoy doing it at the same time. And you can find links to both of those in the show notes.
And the fanfic that we have for the flashback segment this week is called Yours Truly. This one is a excellent story. Originally posted back in April 26th of 2012. This one is unique in the fact that it follows a story through letters. It's a collection of letters that if you read through them one by one, a story begins to form behind them. And it's really cool. I've never quite seen anything like it. And so this one has always stuck out for me as one of my favorites. And so the link for that can be found in the show notes. So that finishes up our episode of the Lightning Round for this week. Be sure to tune in next week. We have our interview with Great Din and Corey W. Williams, and they'll be talking about news ponies. So definitely check that out. Until then, I'm Lightning.
I'm Rashi.
And we'll see you next time.
Every time your sun sets, do you feel regret for what happened in centuries past? Has your spirit grown cold like her lunar moon? Do you know why she chose that path? But Betty Hum alone, Luna paid her debt. On the moon she owned early tides as she went. Time the moon is full, can you feel the pull of your little sister in need? Your smile to hide turmoil hidden deep underneath. Let the hum alone. on the moon she owned.